The sound of Lagos, and right now it's time for Ballot 23. It focus on the general elections. We have just 18 days to the elections. Officially, countdown has started, and there's a whole lot that is trending on the political scene as it's getting hotter. The heat, yes, is getting hotter. All right, but before we move on to what's trending on as regards the elections, and my name is Omobola Sandra. I don't do this to get here, or did you pay cash?
You called me out this morning.
I didn't call you. I just called all of us. I just took because I know. I thought bikes were banned. Why doesn't stay in Lagos State? I just want to put that out there.
As the policy.
That's cashless.
The confusion with me with this policy.
That's a new one.
Hey.
All right, but as regards the elections and whatnot, yes, those are the people now. Despite the fact that INEC has, so that has happened twice, or even more than twice now, and the final deadline was yesterday, February 5. And now, but even with hoping that there will still be another extension again, even 18 days to the elections, I'm wondering if people are hoping that on election day at their polling units they can just go and the beavers will give them and collect their PVC. But then by making it Monday through Sunday, so it wasn't just Monday through Friday. So if what we have now is there's no extension as of now, and but what we have PVCs uncollected as we speak. But then we also have to put in some factors: relocation, JAPA.
And the students who are also in school who registered when they were at home during the strike,
and all of that. Okay, so with figures that we have here in Kano, for example, it's 83,487 people are here to collect their PVCs. In Kaduna, 75% have collected, so we still have about 25% yet to collect. In Oshun, some residents are still disappointed as regards the fact that they said when they tried to receive their PVC, they said it wasn't ready. Their PVCs were not ready at all. And then we also have Lagos. There's still frustration and anger as many residents of Etiosa, Alimosho have expressed anger as they said that their PVCs could not be found. So they wanted to collect their PVC, but on getting there, they said they can't find their PVC.
I think my own experience with collection of PVCs is that sometimes people also don't understand how this thing works. There are people who are supposed to do what I call relocation. Renewal. No, it's renewal. Instead of registering for a new one, there's this other one they call when you're relocating to a new place and you want to is it a renewal or something? Transfer. Thank you. I was looking for that word, transfer. But instead what they do is they go there and say they are registering as a new voter. So automatically it cancels out the new registration. And what they will tell you is to go to where you did your registration initially. If you're, for example, if you registered in Ibadan before and you want to transfer to Lagos, just say transfer. But when you go there and say new registration, they register you as a new voter. And then the data is captured. At the point of printing the whole thing, they see that you already registered before, they just cancel the new one, so you can't get it. They will tell you to go to where you've done your registrations before. But
reports reaching us is that if someone even said that he did transfer from Ikoyi to Etiosa, he and his wife. His wife has collected her own PVC, but his own
is not ready.
And Nick is saying they can't find his own. So if we are going to be talking about that transfer issue, it is still an issue. I mean, a lot of people still do not have their PVC. Is this a problem, or should INEC just go forward?
I think even if we have to do this till the day of election, some people will still ask for extension. And I remember I made this particular tweet that even with this extension, by the 5th of February, Nigerians will still be asking for more extension. And we often forget that there's a timetable that INEC has to follow. For each time there's an extension, you've altered INEC's part of preparation for election as well. So, I mean, it's something that Nigerians need to show commitment about. And over time, I even observe that maybe we're actually overhyping the PVC collection conversation. And maybe the talk should be after collecting your PVC, what next? If you look at the percentage of PVC collected over time, side by side the number of people that actually turn up on election day to vote, you see that it's a terrible far cry. So I think At this point, if you've not picked up your PVC, and all things being equal, I keep repeating this word, all things being equal, that means everything was good for you to pick up your PVC, but you just decided not to, maybe nonchalantly, because you don't want to vote. You don't blame the government for this one. You don't blame INEC for this one. We'll have to move on. I mean,
what about people that are complaining that their PVCs are not at their pickup points?
That's why I said all things being equal. For those ones that are at their pickup point, that refuse not to go, refuse to go to pick up, it's a different ball game. I'm sure somehow, or maybe INEC would come up with something, because truly I know people that their partners have picked up down PVCs at the same registration point, and there's they said, oh, it's in Ibadan, or your own is in Ife, so I think somehow. But the most important thing is that the closure has to happen so that we can move on.
For sake of logistics and proper planning too, so.
So maybe we should move on. As it is now, INEC is saying that there may not be any extension, or there is no any extension in sight as regards that. But that is as regards INEC and PVC collection, because millions of PVCs are still uncollected, and there's a lot of people who are saying that we tried to go. There are a lot of registrants rather are saying that we tried to collect our PVCs, but our PVCs are yet to be printed. We can see how we can get some INEC officials to come in and see, or we can have a conversation around that. Now, moving on from that particular one, just as I mentioned earlier, this is Ballot 23 with focus on the 2023 general elections. And so far, we've had quite a number of political parties heavily represented here on the table, and it's been an interesting conversation that we have had so far. But interestingly, today we have joining us the convener of May Asiwaju Succeed, the APC Publicity Secretary, Ward F, Ojodu Local Council Development Area, in person of Mr. Oni Olalekon. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here again this morning.
All right, thank you very much for coming in. Okay, so it's not so much. There's a lot for us to talk about, but then it's still not so much at the same time. Before we move now, so May Asiwaju Succeed. That's what you're working with.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this confidence. That's the presidential candidate of the APC seems to be working with. Most people say, okay, it's experience, but everything, but then a lot of people will come up with, oh, his age and all, but then some people will come up with, oh, his resilience. I mean, he's something that he has been planning for years. It's definitely not something he woke up and said, okay, I think I should be the president. It's something that is a calculated thing over the years. So looking at that now, what would you say about his confidence, and then also this much talked about issue as regards his age?
All right, his confidence is in his experience, and like you rightly said, that this is something that has been preparing for, if I am not mistaken, for since 1992. Asiwaju became this and so on. So if you look at it very well, that's where his confidence is. He has been planning this even after the June 12 1993 election was annulled. He actually didn't stop there. They were in the opposition, they opposed the military and all of that. And since then, when the democracy came back in 1999, he came back to become the governor of Lagos State. And since then, he has been in the political scene, trying to ensure the progressive makes way and all of that. So that's where his confidence is. And then about the age, the age thing has been put to bed by Asiwaju himself and his team. Asiwaju will be 71 years old this year, and there has been issues around his age. Some people will say, but if you look at everything about around his age, there has not been concrete evidence against him that he is not the age he claims to be. He will be 71 this year, and that's the age. If you check all his documents since 1992, since he was in the private sector and all of that, there has not been anything contrary to, or the age he has been using since then. So I know that all other things about surrounding his age, that he falsified his age and all of that, they are political propagandas, and that's where it stops.
All right, thank you very much. But I'm going to also look at it from another point now. I'm talking about, okay, fine, if that's his age, Okay, but then
I don't
there's that's what I'm going.
No, I'm asking you, the way you said, okay, like
Okay.
you don't agree.
No,
Maybe you have an evidence that is not going to be 71 this
I
year or
didn't say
something.
anything. I didn't say anything otherwise to what you have said. But that's what you said, and I said okay. But going with what you have said now, I'm just going to put a follow up on that,
Alright.
and that's as regards when I'm talking about resilience now. I'm talking about in recent times we have seen videos, and we have also not just seen videos, we have also watched Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, APC presidential candidate, with some during his campaign sessions, problems with bloopers and statements that he should not have come out at all. So what would you say about that? I'm talking about now. You say his age. If that's his age, okay, then. But what about his health status? And the fact that he just seems really confident he's got this under the bag. But then, if you listen to him, you hear things that we're not supposed to be hearing. So what would you say about that?
I would say that the graphics you are talking about are things that can actually happen to How many do we have now? So, and like again, this is it. Some oppositions are after his mistakes. Asiwaju will be somewhere and then he will make a speech for 30 minutes and then he will make just one mistake, maybe in 30 seconds, just a statement or something. Then people will amplify it. What about the ones he has been saying for the next 29 minutes? Who is talking about it? And like I said, I also believe that anybody can make a gaffe in a speech, or because most of the times if you check where Asiwaju makes some of these bloopers, we find out that those are not prepared speech. When he reads out his prepared speech, you find out that there are no mistakes. And so I'm saying that anybody can make such mistakes.
Wait a minute, does that make it better? The fact that prepared speeches are easier for the presidential candidates of the APC rather than because as a president of a country, you're not always going to have access to prepared speeches.
But Asiwaju is not the president yet. But
again, president.
Okay, I mean, talking about that, I think it's quite deep when you look at against all the odds. I'm not standing in for anyone, but I'm not sure if there's any of the candidate that has had stuff thrown at him as much as Asiwaju had done in this whole electionary campaign. May Asiwaju succeed. It's difficult to take Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Aside being this party, a leader of the party, he was part of the people that sold the Buhari agenda, the old merger between the CPC, the former ACN, the faction of APGA, PDP, and all of that. If you say may Asiwaju succeed, in what perspective?
Before you talk about making Nigeria successful, Asiwaju is not in the office yet. So our duty right now, at the moment, is ensure that Asiwaju wins the election. Then we move on to, after winning the election, we move on to him making, Nigeria successful. And you talked about the present administration, right? You talked about it. You cannot disassociate Asiwaju from the present government. And if you look at what he has been saying also, if you look at his policy document, The Renewed Hope, you will find out that some of the things he said in some sectors are that it will build on existing progress and the successes that this government has made. And he also said that in areas where this government has been found wanting, it will do better. So Asiwaju himself is not dissociating himself from the present administration.
Okay, let me pick my next question from what you just said. Of late, especially even before the APC primaries, the declaration in Abeokuta, the old Emilio conversation, the old Olule, all of that, and then Abeokuta happened again when he talked about saboteurs within the government trying to frustrate his election campaign and all of that. So I'm going to ask you, he's been very critical of the federal government, which he's part of recently. I mean, even so many other of his associates, the governor of Kaduna State had come out to talk about it as well. Where do we place all of these things, especially his criticism of a government he brought into power, a government that he's wanting to take over from?
Asiwaju has not been criticizing the FD. Rather, he has been talking about this present policy of Naira swap.
The product of his political policy.
Yes, but he has been saying that, and that's why I've been telling people that Asiwaju is actually a very good person. It takes boldness and kind of empathy for the people to criticize the present
System
administration. That you are trying to campaign on the successes of a political party which you belong to, and at the same time you are criticizing their policy. It tells you the kind of person Asiwaju is, and he has been saying that, opposition took it that he has been criticizing Buhari himself, and he has come out to clear that he doesn't have issues with Buhari, but everybody has issues with this recent policy of Naira swap, the implementation, and if you look at it very well, this thing is affecting you. When she started this program, she was talking about how did you get to the office and all of that. Everybody, no matter who you are, in fact, it has gotten worse that you can't even do transfer, even from your bank app and all of that. So Asiwaju is someone who takes Nigerians ahead of whatever. It is not about the selfish interest that people talk about. It is about the people. Whatever is affecting the people, Asiwaju sees it as it is affecting him directly, and he has to criticize it. Look at it, like you said, from Abeokuta. Asiwaju was the first person, a politician that criticized this Naira swap. Till now, Atiku has not said. When Atiku said, he said the Naira swap the deadline the people should follow deadline, and Obi has stayed aloof on it, and so you see that Asiwaju.
Technically, sorry to cut you, Mr. Oni. Technically, it wasn't criticizing the policy.
It was.
It seemed like it was more like, okay, this is a policy that was put in place to frustrate my aspirations. Yeah. If he was criticizing the policy in itself, he would talk at Abeokuta was that this policy is affecting my candidacy.
But
I'm going to win.
Was that how I said?
If you're going to translate, okay, let's just translate word for word now. Again, it's a bit difficult to do that. It's almost like saying, all of this is against my aspirations, and we're going to vote and win. So
okay, what I understood.
But it depends on how you want to.
So what I understood by that, what I understood was that's why Asiwaju is a leader. After that statement in Abeokuta, you will see that everybody.
Of course, the PDP is all over, the G5 and all our compute. But would you agree that there's a problem within the APC, that the cracks are quite wide and it may be a problem as you get close to the elections?
Definitely, there's a crack. And, if I tell you that there's no crack, that means, but if you look at it very well, what El Rufai said was this, that there are people within the villa.
Elements.
Cabals or elements within the villa who doesn't want the APC candidate to win the election. And if you ask me, that's like the major crack you are talking about. If you look at it very well, these are people, from my own understanding, these are people who are not necessarily APC goons. They are like the kitchen cabinets of Buhari. Now, it is very possible that we have a kitchen cabinet people who are